Imagine jumping out of a plane thousands of meters above the ground and suddenly realizing your parachute has failed. At that moment, you only have a few seconds to make the most important decision of your life. If you manage to fix the problem in time, you might walk away with some injuries and an unbelievable story to tell. But if not, the impact will be devastating. Check out now the most extreme moments of skydivers in trouble and how they managed to survive. Experienced acro paragliding pilot Kevin Phillip narrowly escaped during a radical maneuver in Spain. He was attempting a trick amidst strong turbulence when suddenly his main parachute became useless. Every skydiver's nightmare had just come true. Every skydiver has a reserve parachute for emergencies, but Kevin faced enormous difficulty activating his. He was racing against time as he fell at high speed, and any mistake could have been fatal. Even in the face of extreme danger, he stayed calm, took a deep breath, and tried everything he could to release the equipment. But with each passing second, the ground got closer, and the situation grew even more desperate. At the last possible moment, Kevin managed to deploy the reserve parachute, slowing down the fall and avoiding the worst. He escaped death by a fraction of a second.
Oh my God!
Footage of this unbelievable moment was captured by his camera and shows the true meaning of keeping your cool and staying emotionally controlled amidst chaos. Everything seemed perfect. The student and his instructor were ready for an amazing jump. The sky was clear, the view stunning, and the adrenaline at its peak. A dream scenario for any skydiver. But in a matter of seconds, that dream turned into a terrifying nightmare. Shortly after the jump, the student began to spin uncontrollably in the air. Before he could stabilize the flight, he made a critical mistake. He opened the main parachute too early. That was the beginning of a disaster. The instructor lost sight of the student, and for a few moments, he disappeared from the camera. But when he reappeared, the scene was pure desperation. Both the main and reserve parachutes had wrapped around his leg, leaving him tangled in the lines. He was falling with no functioning parachute while spinning at high speed. He tried everything, cutting the main, releasing the reserve, stabilizing the fall, but nothing seemed to work. With each second, the ground got closer, and he felt like he was losing consciousness due to the extreme spinning. Amidst the chaos, he even thought about giving up. But when he looked down and realized he still had some altitude, he decided to try one more time. Even while tangled and spinning out of control, he kept fighting to stabilize the parachute, and by some miracle, he succeeded.
What the fuck, man?
Landing upside down, he survived with just a fractured pinky finger. An unbelievable ending to one of the scariest jumps ever recorded. And the most curious part? He had done that same jump before with no issues. But this time, every second in the air was a fight for his life.
Right, you good?
Having a faulty parachute is already terrifying. Now imagine if both fail at the same time. That's exactly what happened to Marcos in one of the most intense and dangerous skydiving incidents ever recorded. Right after the jump, Marcos realized there was a problem. The main parachute got stuck, and when he tried to deploy the reserve, another disaster struck, a mechanical failure. With nothing working and the ground approaching rapidly, he had to make fast and precise decisions to avoid the worst. The nightmare continued. During the attempt to open the reserve, the metal connector on one of the parachutes simply broke, causing the reserve to fail as well. That's when Marcos proved himself to be a true warrior. With an unbelievable presence of mind, he made the right decision at the most critical moment. Instead of cutting the main parachute before deploying the reserve, as per standard protocol, he kept the main attached, allowing him to manually activate extra fabric to slow the fall. Even so, The parachute was not fully functional, and Marcos had to fight against a violent spin until he hit the ground. The impact looked brutal, but to everyone's shock, he immediately stood up and even gave a thumbs up to a passing driver. Marcos survived one of the worst possible scenarios in skydiving and showed that keeping calm can mean the difference between life and death. Base jumping is already extremely dangerous, but what happened to this man was something even the most experienced jumpers would never want to face. Everything went wrong in a matter of seconds. After the jump, he realized his main parachute wasn't working properly. Without hesitation, he tried to cut it away to release the faulty equipment. But one detail made the situation even more desperate. The cutaway cable was stuck due to dirt and debris buildup. Unable to release the parachute in time, he was falling out of control while desperately trying to find a way out. Every second in the air felt like an eternity. The parachute was only partially inflated, meaning he had no real control over the fall. With only 3 cells inflated, the situation became critical. The only option was to attempt a forced landing and hope to survive. The tension was at its peak. He was falling fast and without a fully functional parachute. The impact seemed inevitable, and any mistake could be fatal. But against all odds, he managed to pull off a landing that defied logic. Parachute jumps are part of military training, but imagine this scene. All your teammates successfully deploy their parachutes, except you. That's exactly what happened to this soldier. In the middle of the drill, he realized his parachute simply didn't open. Time was running out. He stayed calm, followed his training, and managed to open his parachute at the last moment. The chute deployed just seconds before impact, drastically reducing the fall speed. He came this close to becoming a tragic statistic. The soldier got out shaken, but alive. His training and composure were crucial in avoiding disaster. When everything seems to be going fine during the jump, but the parachute decides to fail mid-air, what do? Flip the bird and carry on, of course? Okay, we're kidding. But when the skydiver found himself in trouble, he needed much more than attitude to solve the problem mid-air. Despite the chaos, this skydiver kept calm and followed standard procedures. He untangled his parachutes, corrected the spin, and managed to regain control. Everything was resolved in a matter of seconds, and the worst was avoided. Unreal, right? Skydiving is a true roller coaster of adrenaline, and situations like these show how preparation, control, and luck can make all the difference. Don't miss more moments like this. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and stay on top of the most thrilling videos in the world of extreme sports and skydiving. See you on the next jump.